So, I think it'd be interesting, and I know people that have followed us, followed you for years, followed Residual Earners for the last couple months, have a good idea of your upbringing. When you're on stage, I know you talk about it quite often, but kind of give a little background on your upbringing and kind of the stuff that molded you into the man you are today.
Well, all right. Grew up, I can even go all the way back to the very beginning. I'm adopted. A 14-year-old girl got pregnant, and my mom adopted me the day I was born, came and got me, and I was literally born in a house right behind H. Grady Spruce High School, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
You were born in a house?
I was born in a house. I was not born in a hospital.
You remember anything of that day?
No, don't remember a thing about that day, but that's kind of crazy to think about it. And here's something what's wild. I went to Spruce, obviously, and the house was literally right behind. We used to run around the whole school kind of in conditioning for basketball, and I'm sure I saw what would be my biological grandparents out doing stuff and had no idea. But anyway, Mom got me. Then I grew up in Pleasant Grove. Didn't have a dad really involved in my life. He left when I was 9. He was an alcoholic. And it was just me and Mom from that point forward. And grew up in the ghettos. Mom didn't have any money. I mean, she worked in sewing factories and school cafeterias, didn't make any money. Amazing lady, though, godly lady. I mean, Jordan, loved his Gigi. But just because of her, I am who I am. I mean, that's just the way it is. She taught me everything that I knew. She came to as many games as she could, not working when I was playing sports. She and I had a great relationship. It was more than just a traditional mom-son deal, because it was just her and I battling the world for so many years there. And then played basketball. That's what kind of got me through. I had lots of chances when I was young to go down the wrong road, lots of drugs. Growing up, I mean, it was an era when, there was just lots of drugs going around in the neighborhood I lived in. Drugs were prevalent. But for whatever reason, because of basketball, I didn't go down the drug route. I won't say I never had a drink or something, but didn't get into drugs, thank the Lord. And it was basketball that kind of held me true. Loved basketball. My coaches were my role models. I didn't have the dad, so they were my role models, and I was blessed. Had a black gentleman named Henry Warren that I loved to death when I was in middle school. Coach J.D. Mayo was my JV coach, who to this day I'm still buds with. And then John Paul Fultz was my varsity coach, just a mountain of a man, but a good moral man. And that was where I got my undergirding, if you will, was through those men.
What about Uncle Dude? Because didn't he teach you to shoot a basketball?
No, that was Aunt Ruby that taught me how to shoot a basketball.
Is that why you shoot it two-handed?
That's why I was underhanded for a while. My mom's sister, who was about 20 years older than my mom, got out in the backyard when I first started shooting, and she had played basketball back, I guess with peach baskets, I don't know. But anyway, she taught me how to shoot underhanded. And then her son, Uncle Jack, came to town. He was really a cousin, but he was so much older than me, I called him Uncle Jack. He actually taught me how to shoot one-handed, because my 8th grade coach told me, if you don't get where you can shoot one-handed, you're not going to be on my team. So Uncle Jack taught me how to shoot one-handed. And then because of all of that, and I realized what impact my coaches had on me, I ended up becoming a coach. I actually started college thinking I might want to be a lawyer, but it didn't take me long to realize that I didn't want to study that hard at that point.
You have to read.
You got to read a whole lot. And my first about year and a half, I'm trying to make all A's, because I knew you had to have good. And I thought, I can't go through years of this. So I ended up being switching and becoming a basketball coach. And I thank the Lord I did, because I loved what I did. But that's kind of how I got going in life.
What about Uncle Dude? He played a part in your life.
Uncle Dude was Mom's brother. And
what was Uncle Dude's actual name?
Otham Monroe. They had some names back then. Otham Monroe, we called him Uncle Dude, D-U-D-E, Uncle Dude. And I think he got that name because he always dressed nice and kind of looked like a dude. But he was a big influence. I used to work with him as a carpenter's helper and do stuff like that. He was a big influence on my life. And then his son Manny probably had the biggest influence on my success financially of anybody, because out of our family wasn't a lot of people that had a lot of success, but Manny did. And as I was growing up, I realized I wanted to be like Manny. I mean, I wanted to live in the nice house and drive the nice cars. And Manny kind of showed me that somebody from our family could make it. And I really believe I'm sitting here, us doing this podcast, and all we do is because of Manny showing the way.
Did you have some roofing jobs back in the day?
I have roofed houses, and believe me, it was before they had the nail guns. I mean, you had a big pouch with bunches of nails, and you just slung those shingles and hammered them down. And I mean, yeah, I've roofed houses before. I've helped pour concrete in the summer when it was like 102, and when that truck rolls up and that concrete starts coming out of it, you can't take a break or it'll start setting up. I mean, you just have to.
You're pot committed at that point.
You are in, and my gosh, that was probably the hardest. I worked for another Uncle Bill, doing the concrete work, and that was probably the hardest job I've ever had, because obviously it was when I was off of school in the summer, so it's hotter than snot, and you're out there with concrete, and I mean, it was almost like somebody had a water hose on your head when you'd be looking down working. Water's just pouring, the sweat. Tough job.